Shalom and good morning. Today I would like to talk a little bit about the kippah. As we know, kippah is a Jewish head covering. It's not biblically mandated. It didn't come about until about the 1200s when a small town in Eastern, or a small country in Eastern Europe, decided they were going to take away all the Jews' privileges and wealth and make them servants. But typically in Eastern Europe, it wasn't always easy to tell a Jew from anybody else. So in order to do that, they made them wear little caps, designated that they were servants. Today, we understand that to mean that we are servants of Hashem Baruch Hu, the Holy One of Israel, blessed be He. But we know that when we wear these, that people associate them with Judaism. So it's natural to see somebody on the street wearing one and assuming that they are Jewish, because Jews wear kippahs. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. But it's usually not anybody but a Jew who will wear a kippah. Much the same as a burqa, for instance. We know if we see a woman wearing a burqa that she's probably a Muslim. Or if we see a dark-skinned man wearing a turban, we know he's probably Hindu. Well, when we see people wearing these, we know they're probably Jewish. But today that's not always the case. We have a lot of wannabes, especially in the Messianic movement, because we have people that want to appear to be one thing, but they don't want the responsibility of actually being it. And that's a dangerous thing. It makes them look bad, it makes the Jewish community look bad. And I can understand why the Jewish community frowns a lot of times on people who aren't a part of the Jewish community wearing kippahs, because anything that they do in public is going to reflect on the Jewish community. I found this to be true especially in the U.S., where kippah wearing isn't a big thing. Rarely do you see it unless you're in a heavily populated Jewish area. When I took my best friend to Israel, he had an epiphany, and he said he felt like the Lord was telling him he needed to wear a kippah all the time. And I'm going, are you sure that's what you want? Because here in Israel, it's a common thing, but when in the U.S., it's not. And it may bring some hard times on you when people start associating you with being a Jew. And it's going to make your life a little bit rough, because you're going to have to do things you may not typically want to do. So when we got back about 2 weeks later and I met up with him, there was no kippah. And I said, what happened with that? And he said, well, I'm still thinking about it. And I said, that's what I thought. But about a week or so later, he started wearing one all the time. And then a few weeks after that, he started realizing that there is a responsibility. It's not just a garment or a piece of headwear. It has responsibility with it because it stands for something. And unless you're willing to make what it stands for a part of your life, you're going to be labeled a hypocrite, a deceiver. And we have to be very, very careful of that, because not only does it look bad on us, but it looks bad upon the Jewish community as a whole, to have people running around appearing to be something that they're not, especially when it reflects on them. And so much so that I have a rabbi friend in the conservative movement, and he told me one time, he said, you know, Larry, when I go someplace where I shouldn't go, I put a baseball cap over my kippah so that nobody knows that I'm a rabbi. And of course my first thought was, why are you going into those places? But I didn't ask, it was none of my business. And I thought, this is typically the case. In the U.S. especially, we tend to do things according to how convenient they are. And many, many times it's very convenient to be Jewish, to have that appearance of holiness and righteousness and so on and so forth. But at other times it becomes inconvenient if we're wanting to do something that does not fit within that norm. So we cover it, or we simply take it off, and then we go and do what we want to do, and then we come back and we're holy the next day with our kippah back on. But it doesn't work like that. Judaism isn't about what you wear. It's about what's on the inside, what you believe, the lifestyle that you live. And we have to be aware of that. We have to take it very, very seriously. These people have spent some 4,000 years becoming what they are today. And we have to realize that that stands for something, that means something to them. It's not a game. It's not Halloween where we can dress up like them when we want to and take it off when we don't want to. It's a very serious thing, and we need to take it very, very seriously.